Welcome to Withdraw Consent. I'm Victor. This is Jack. We're filming today from the American Coalition, illegally, because the First Amendment has been abolished in the American Coalition, as well as any talk of National Socialism, as you know. So after you watch this, delete it from your browser history, of course.
For sure.
And today we're just gonna make up some hypothetical, fantastic story, and it's gonna be, what if Germany had lost World War II? Like, what are the just wild hypothetical things that we can think of that might have happened in the world? You're not going to believe that any of this could ever happen, but let's just start talking about some.
It's just based on the terribleness that we've seen where we live, like what could have happened to the whole world. So hopefully you enjoy this journey with us. So if there was no peace, if Hitler had not made peace with England, at some point there would have been a fight for England or over England maybe. What if there was just giant air battles? Just Hitler sending all of his airplanes and bombing cities, bombing ports, and just trying to break England.
And what if after that England had just started bombing German cities indiscriminately?
So not even military targets.
Yeah, just cities, just murdering civilians. They're the good guys, right?
Right.
You know, in this story, we'll say. And then basically, this happens for months, and Hitler refuses to bomb cities. And then eventually he's like, man, I guess I got to bomb cities. So then he starts bombing cities too. And there's all these massive civilian casualties that never actually happened in real life. What about that?
Yeah, totally could happen. So what if at some point Russia now, maybe they attack Europe, or maybe Hitler gets wind of there's going to be an impending attack on Russia wants Europe. And so he preemptively goes towards Russia and marches on them. And now he's got this two-front war, and he's heading north, and he's trying to stop Russia from getting to Europe.
Yeah, bringing communism into Europe.
Yeah.
And then what if Russia's getting pressed so hard that they're like, man, we could send ammunition and weapons into the Eastern occupied territories, which is what they call Poland in this fake world that we're making up. But we don't have any to send, so they send pamphlets. Here's how you civilians can derail trains, blow up places and stuff like that, right? So imagine all these partisans, and they blow up a barracks with 200 soldiers sleeping, and all of Germany's furious. And then what if they send forces out there, the Einsatzgruppen, we'll make up a name.
Okay.
And then they start killing all these partisans, and then there's just people committing war crimes in civilian clothes, just slaughtering.
Yeah, it's like guerrilla warfare.
Yeah, and it's just wild. What if that happened?
And then maybe later they're blamed as being the bad guys for slaughtering civilians.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the Germans end up being the bad guys.
Right.
Yeah.
You'd have to. Yeah.
Because there's a sign. Yeah, it's great. Okay.
Yeah. So then on the other side, we have the issue with Japan. Japan's been at war with China, and America wants to get involved because the war machine, the bankers know they can make a lot of money, so there's pressure on politicians to get into the war. People don't want the war here in the U.S., and so they put an embargo on Japan, and Japan can't get fuel, and there's a clock ticking on when they're going to start running out of resources, and it forces Japan to do an attack on Pearl Harbor to try to push America back. What if America actually knew it was going to happen?
Ooh, that's a good angle.
They just let it happen.
Right.
And just because they're very war hungry, and they wanted to buy bombs and
just
do all
boats
that.
And people getting obliterated in Pearl Harbor.
Right.
Yeah, okay. Okay, what if, so now the U.S. goes to war with Japan.
Okay.
What if the U.S. does some island fighting, but it's kind of hard to do, right? Okay. So instead they say, what do you think a good thing they should do is? What if they firebomb all the paper cities in Japan?
Oh,
just
perfect.
In massive firebombs. They could make firestorms that go 200 miles an hour.
Okay.
Men, women, and children. What if that happens? You're not going to believe that any of this could have happened.
Right,
you know?
It's insane.
No, George Bush didn't write about this in his book. This is not a thing that happened.
Totally.
But what if?
What if? But at some point, America's got to come and help out with retaking Europe from Germany. So there could be a giant landing that Germany's prepared for, and there's just terrible amounts of death. And what are they
landing? Are they landing like sex traffickers so that they could, or are they landing?
Well, those will come after the troops, probably.
Okay, so these are troops landing. Okay.
Yeah. So first the troops.
Because we got to get those Germans on board, you know, right. With all the American stuff.
Yeah. So then I'm sure they would extend the firebombing of the Japanese cities. And what if they just like firebombed, I don't know, Dresden and killed 100,000 people, and Tokyo, they did the same thing.
Nobody watching this is going to believe that could have happened.
Right.
But just imagine if it happened. Yeah.
And up to 100,000 people in Tokyo, too.
I got a great one.
Yeah, okay.
I had a great one. What if there's two generals? We're going to call them Patton and Eisenhower. They're American generals, right?
Okay.
And one of them is busy taking pictures at death camps that turn out not to be death camps at all. And the other one's like, man, I can go get those Germans. Okay. But what if, and you will never believe this, imagine this. They tell Patton, we're not going to give you the petrol for your vehicles to drive to Berlin because we want Uncle Joe, I mean the communists, the USSR, to come and attack from the east so they can take Berlin, so that they can rape every single woman and girl in Germany. What if it's so bad that mothers walk their beautiful German daughters into lakes and drown them because it would be worse if the Russians were coming? Because the Americans didn't give fuel to Patton. And then when Patton speaks out about it after the war, what if they assassinate him?
Oh, man.
What if he gets in a minor car crash and the guy next to him has skinned his knees lightly and he has a massive broken neck, right? And what if he's recovering in the hospital and he just dies, we'll say.
Yeah.
You know,
over normal causes. It's like a nightmare.
Yeah.
I mean, for the whole world, it's been bad here, but like projecting this in the whole world is terrible.
Yeah. None of this could happen, though.
No, it's absurd.
Strong men would stop this from happening.
Yeah, of course. Someone would stop this. So I imagine at some point America would, maybe we develop some giant bombs or something, and we just drop them on a couple Japanese cities. Maybe it would be Hiroshima, Nagasaki.
That's very specific of you.
Yeah,
this is making it up.
I don't know a lot of Japanese cities,
okay,
so maybe it was just those. Okay. Yeah, and it could be that we didn't even have the bombs at the time. Maybe we just made it up and just firebombed them because
just throw some random psyops in there. That's great.
Yeah,
okay, cool.
Because the lies, it's not like they lie all the time to us right now.
Link in the description for that.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, I got this. This is a great one. Right?
Okay, good.
What if the Jewish American Congress lobbied the United States government to bomb railways leading into concentration camps that were holding their people so that when the soldiers got there, there'd be a bunch of dead bodies from typhus? Then they said that the Germans murdered more Jews than existed in all of the areas conquered by the Germans. And they just made up this fantastic story. Say they said, I don't know, 6 million Jews. Were just mass murdered.
So not typhus, like they're actually being executed.
Yeah, like just say gassed.
Oh, wow.
Maybe they would be using diesel gas, which doesn't actually suffocate somebody, but they could just say it. Like, who cares? And what if, like, they just cut off people's skin and made lampshades, and then they maybe made, like, I don't know, typhus-infested wigs, and I don't know, just what if they killed them, right? What if they killed all the Jews? And then they cremated them, and then they put their ashes in the cabbage, and they fed it back to Jews who were about to be killed.
Man.
Like, I mean, what if?
Well, you have to portray these people as the ultimate evil.
Right.
So, yeah, it makes sense.
Okay. I mean, could have happened.
I mean, it could have happened.
Okay, so now what about after the war? How about this? I got this idea. Check this out. Okay, so Patton, he's dead, that loser. He was trying to, come on, dude.
He stood up,
PsyOps. We're into the PsyOps, right? And so one of them we're doing, okay, let's see. We're going to call these Eisenhower's death camps. Okay. Well, okay. So what if they make a new classification? So you got POWs, you got civilians. What if you said disarmed enemy combatants or disarmed enemy fighters was a new one? And then you just put them all in open air prisons and gave them no food and stuff and let them wallow in their poo until up to a million Germans, surrendered German soldiers died. Like, you couldn't believe this was happening.
Sounds terrible.
You know what would be even funnier? What if Eisenhower became president of the United States after that? What if he did?
What?
It's amazing, too. Yeah. Okay, so maybe.
But also explains why they have to have 6 million Jews were killed, because it has to be worse than what Eisenhower did. Like in
Eisenhower didn't do anything.
Oh.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, right.
We don't talk about that. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, interesting. All right, what if the West, the winners, sent in a bunch of Jewish psychiatrists to the Germans and made them go through therapy, like the adults and the teens, and they have to be reprogrammed.
Great idea.
Because they were too proud of their own people, and they can't have that.
They didn't like child trafficking,
right?
LGBTQ. So what if, say, there's a German man who resists that, and he doesn't conform to that?
Well, he needs more. You have to keep sending him back. That's not acceptable for that person to be.
Sounds completely reasonable.
Right.
Okay, so what if they run more PsyOps like Dachau,
Okay.
We're just going to say this town. I picked a random town
Sure.
in Germany. And what if they had made like a concentration camp there? And then what if they pretended like it was a death camp?
Okay.
What if they mass murdered all the guards there? What if they made the German women come in and carry the dead bodies that were
Oh, wow.
died from the
Okay.
typhus and stuff? Because they convinced them that their own husbands who had died in the war were mass murderers supporting
man.
genocide, including their blessed Adolf, you know?
Yeah.
And then in 1950, even Eisenhower comes and takes photo ops there. Very sad, very sad. But then in
Yeah.
1956, they say, oh, that wasn't a death camp.
Oh, okay.
Just for fun.
Yeah.
There's no purpose to any of this. I'm just making up random stuff that could have happened.
Yeah.
For fun, they like to do stuff.
But very reasonable that these types of people could
based
do
on our
this.
experiences with Waco and the real stuff that did happen
Right,
in
totally.
the American coalition.
And I was sure they would undo all the stuff that Hitler instituted. So he's bringing back traffickers, he's bringing back usury, charging all the interest because that's better for the people.
If you're not patriotic, I'm sorry. If you're patriotic, you pay your interest.
Yeah, totally.
And the more interest you pay, the better.
Right.
And those loser German, I'm going to talk about the ones over there right now.
Right.
Not paying interest.
Totally.
No trafficking. Ridiculous.
Yeah, insane.
Okay. So what if the Jews gather in Palestine
Okay.
and it becomes the state of Israel?
Oh, wow.
So now imagine you're in this alternate world and there's the state of Israel. Okay. And among other things, what about this? What if some chemists get together? We're going to say both chemists are going to become early prime ministers of Israel. We're just going to make this up.
Okay.
Okay, this is fantastic. And they cook a little concoction, little poison, right? Send it up to Germany because they're going to poison 3 German cities and murder all the men, women, and children.
During the war or after the war?
This is after the war.
Oh, just like retroactively?
Just for fun.
Oh, Okay.
And so then they do it, and then unfortunately the ship gets caught in Italy by a British inspection guy, and then the guy has to go to jail in Egypt for 1 year.
Oh, that's it?
Who was transporting it, who was going to mass murder 3 cities, 1 year. And then he gets out and goes back to Israel. That'd be interesting.
And then become prime minister.
No, he doesn't become prime minister.
Oh.
No,
Oh, that
just
was
the 2 chemists.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So maybe you've heard that story wrong by me in the past.
Yeah, maybe.
But now, let me add to this. What if there were just random Jewish people running around in the forests of Germany, just hoping that a woman walks out of the back door of her little farmhouse so she can hang up some laundry so they could just snipe her?
Oh.
Just imagine that happen all over Germany.
That's insane.
They would deserve it at this point because they had
true.
not Holocausted all these people. So they would definitely deserve it.
It's true.
And it's like we didn't kill enough of them when we were firebombing the cities.
Right.
So you got to clean up here.
Yeah. So you finish what was started.
Yeah.
I imagine once the war machine for World War II gets going, the profit that the bankers making, we'll call it the military-industrial complex.
Oh, interesting.
Maybe we got to keep this money coming in. We got to keep borrowing more money and doing all that. So I feel like there would always be a reason for a war. And it could even be like the Soviet Union becomes this other power and somehow the United States just acts like we're enemies.
Oh, interesting.
And we have a fake war for decades. And everyone is just making as many tanks as possible.
This is possible.
Yeah.
Because in this magical future we're lying about right now, you would have just a completely destabilized Africa, destabilized Asia,
totally.
Terrible Europe. And so it would make perfect sense. They could just go to random, I don't know, Korea, Vietnam, just Grenada, name any place and just have a war.
Yeah, and the Russians and Americans never actually fight. They just supply the sides and the money's coming through the goods and let them kill each other.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll send troops. One side will send troops or the other. Or...
Okay, what if, I'm just going to go crazy here.
Okay.
What if there was a war, Russia was attacking some country, I don't know what it's going to call it, Afghanistan.
Okay.
And so what if we trained some Afghanis to fight against them?
We call it a proxy war.
Yeah, and then what if later on those Afghanis that we trained did things to us?
Okay. Or what if they were framed for doing things to us?
Even better. We could claim they did things to us, and then we could do the own things to ourselves.
Yeah, they could just lie about things people are doing just to start more wars.
Oh, interesting.
We need troops everywhere, always fighting.
That would be great.
It sounds... Well,
because right now, the American coalition, there's nothing going on.
Right.
All those people have peace and prosperity. We don't have the First Amendment. We don't have outlawed political parties. That's where we're at.
It's terrible for us, but everyone else is doing good. But this pretend world...
Right. Okay. So what if, because you know how like when you look at Europe today, they're like very homogenous. There's French but what if Germany had its one and there was just all type of third world migration?
Like we
diversity.
Have here.
Yeah, like in America.
Okay.
And then it's like diversity is our strength. And then just like imagine like in Germany, we'll just say like, we'll take a random city like Cologne, and we'll say on New Year's Eve, 1,000 women get raped by Pakistani rape gangs.
Oh, wow.
1,000 women in one night.
Why would you want that?
But it's diversity though.
Oh, okay, and that's
Because
good.
diversity is their
Clearly.
strength. And so you're going through some growing pains.
Yeah.
And you just have to
It'll stabilize at some point.
Yeah.
Sure.
And then like Algerians in France, and they're just burning stuff in the street. I mean,
Yeah.
could happen.
All right, then how about women? What happened here with feminist movement and all that? Our women work here and are responsible and contribute. All of them in Europe that are not doing anything. They're just staying at home, taking care of their kids and all that, and raising their family. I'm sure all that would have happened in Europe that happened here with them working, not raising their kids, lower wages because now the workforce is double.
It's good for corporations, I'll tell you.
That's true.
It's good for the economy as well.
Yeah.
Too. What if so like in American coalition, we're very diverse, you know, but we got also a lot of sexual diversity, we'll say.
Okay.
Over there, they're lacking all that right now.
They totally are.
They're just a bunch of heteros.
Right.
Cis-normative heteros. Like
Right.
diversity.
Yeah.
See, if Hitler had lost, we could just have Germany just be the gayest country.
Right.
We could even just go, what if, what's in Israel, a city in Palestine? Okay, Tel Aviv. What if Tel Aviv was the gayest city in the world and the Jews were gay too in this future? Like, it would be great for everybody.
I believe it, yeah.
Right? French, British.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay,
and everyone
maybe.
just embraces this
Trans.
Okay.
They outlawed that trans stuff.
Oh, that's true.
They would now have all their kids being trans.
Yeah.
Every kid, mandatory
Transitioning,
trans.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm sure they would. We talked about it a little bit, but there'd be the worldwide trafficking for like sex trade and kids and all that would be going crazy. It wouldn't just be here. It would be everywhere.
Do you remember pre-World War II? I mean, pre-Hitler coming to power, and there's
Right, in Berlin was
100,000
terrible.
prostitutes in Berlin every night. 100,000 prostitutes, and now how many do they have? None. 5 in a back alley getting arrested or something.
Right.
They could go back to that.
Right.
It's sexual liberation, you know.
Totally empowering the women.
Okay, now you might think this stuff's pretty fantastic,
Yeah.
but I mean, just imagine a reality where it could happen.
Right. I mean, we've lived some of that here, and we're just trying to project that on to the rest of the planet. And it's, man, that's a terrible place to live
Yeah,
for everyone.
I'm sure that will never happen because there will be strong men who will stand up and say no to all of this.
Right. And, well, I mean, no one stood up here.
Nobody stood up here when they took the First Amendment away or said outlawed Nazis as a political party. Dang, maybe we're the baddies.
Yeah, maybe.
Dang.
Well, hopefully you like this this alternate look into what could have been if Hitler had lost. Just us throwing ideas out there. If you have any ideas of what would have happened if he lost, we'd love to hear. If we missed any major thing that happens in the U.S. that doesn't happen over there, we'd love to hear it. And maybe we'll see you next time.
And I'm Victor. Maybe we'll see you next time.